Hey, what's up? This is Harry Wanger from Harry's Situations, and today we're on Fordyce Creek Trail for the 54th annual Cal 4-Wheel Sierra Trek event. So this is an event that is near and dear to my heart. I've been coming to this for my entire life, literally. My parents came here when I was a kid, and this is an event that is one of my favorites, so you've got to check this out. We're here at Sunrise Hill, and it got the name because Sierra Trek, this is a long trail, Fordyce. We meet up at 5:30 in the morning and we start the trail at 6:30. So right as you're cresting this hill, the sun's shining in your eyes as you're trying to do this obstacle behind us. Now this isn't the first obstacle on the trail. The first obstacle is actually Driveline Hill, but that's optional. In order to keep the group moving, we bypassed that, so we didn't film it, but it's quite the challenge. So one issue on Fordyce, just like on the Rubicon, is erosion and off-camber areas. So trail maintenance is performed on both trails. About 12 years ago, friends of Fordyce and the We Built Four-Wheel Drive Club were up here, and they put in this gabon, which is a French term for basically a drain. It's made of chain link and rebar, and then you fill this basket with rocks. You can see that's still in place, so we don't have that sketchy off-camber section here on Sunrise Ridge. So this is Old Man Mountain behind me, and you can see he's lying on his back. He's got a very prominent nose, and his body goes out this direction. Kind of hazy from the smoke. You know, we had a really dry winter out here and a hot summer, so the smoke's from the Dixie fire. But this area, fortunately, is still intact, which I'm grateful for. This is one of my favorite places in the world. I grew up around here. There's actually a Boy Scout camp, Glacial Trails Scout Ranch, just down the road, where I spent my summers when I wasn't off-roading with my parents out on Fordyce. So we're here at the first water crossing on Fordyce Creek Trail, and it's about 2 feet deep. It's probably flowing under 100 cubic feet per second right now. People pass when it's up to 300 cubic feet per second, but even with 40s, that starts to get sketchy. Fortunately, during Sierra Trek, Cal 4-Wheel has a deal with PG&E, who have a hydroelectric plant at Fordyce Reservoir, and they closed the dam in order to allow us to pass during this event. Now, that used to be a barrier to entry on this trail years ago because we had bigger winters and tires were smaller, and people basically couldn't pass this other than Sierra Trek. And that kept the trail in really pristine condition. About 10 years ago, they cracked down on the Rubicon with regards to partying and kind of roughhousing out there. Well, that crowd still exists, and they've moved over to Fordyce. And we've had droughts, they have 40-inch or bigger tires, and the impact on the trail is really obvious, unfortunately. We're here at Sierra Trek representing Driveline and Nitto, but the opinions expressed here are my own. They're not shared necessarily by Nitto or Driveline, but you know I have opinions on things. So behind me here, you can see some wattles. These are absorbent material that they've put downstream, so as we're crossing, if there's any sort of petroleum products or anything on these vehicles, those will get caught and not go into the water stream. Cal 4-Wheel also is checking every vehicle and wiping them down before they cross this water crossing in order to keep it clean. Even if you're familiar with Fordyce Creek Trail, you might not be familiar with the Carlisle mine. So right before Winch Hill 1, there's a little faint road going off to the left. They don't run it at Sierra Trek, but you can hike up and there's an old mine there. It's kind of like a trench. You can see they were following a vein. There's mining equipment up here that's pretty cool. And that's the origin of this whole trail and this area are mining roads. So these aren't as old as like the 49ers, Virginia City, Sutter Mill, those places. These mines are from the 1860s and 1870s after the major gold rush, and they never really panned out the same way those mines did. It's about 10:15 in the morning. We started around 6:30. Physically, distance-wise, we're about halfway through the trail. Difficulty-wise, we're just getting started. So we're at Winch Hill 1, the first of 5 Winch Hills on Fordyce Creek Trail. And these are named because you're usually not getting through there on your own. Now, fortunately, there is a bypass around here if you don't want to go through this section. The crux for me has always been you go through this notch at the top. There's a big rock right in the middle that I can't see, and I always seem to hit it every time when I crest over. So we'll see if I can avoid that today.
Which we all know bouncing is catastrophic when it comes to axles.
During Sierra Trek, you run Fordyce Creek Trail in one day and end at Meadow Lake and camp there. But one of my favorite parts about this trail are the hidden campsites along the way. So we just crossed the second water crossing. This is a great spot. You're right by the water. It's flat, it's open, but there's trees and shade. What more could you ask for? Now we're at the bottom of Winch Hill 2, which admittedly is the easiest of the 5 Winch Hills on Fordyce. But this holds a special place in my heart because when I was a kid, the club we were in, the Fremont F Troop, would come up here every summer to work at Sierra Trek, and this was our Winch Hill. So we would spend a week up here. We wouldn't even go into Meadow Lake. We were all self-sufficient, and we'd help get rigs through here. We had a great campsite right on the river, and I just have such fond memories of being here. So we mentioned that we're at Cal 4 Wheels Sierra Trek. You can come up to Fordyce other weekends, but the special thing about Sierra Trek is this is the biggest fundraiser of the year for California Association of Four-Wheel Drive Clubs. So all these people you see working on winch hills and leading trails and cooking in camp, they're all volunteers, and all of the money raised from this event goes for things like education, trail maintenance, fighting land closures, so it's a great cause. So now we're at what they call the committee crossing, or sometimes referred to as the shortcut. And as the name implies, the committee that runs Sierra Trek will come in this way and bypass part of the trail to access Winch Hill 2 and Winch Hill 1 when they're working it. So a lot of people come in and out of this way also from Cisco Grove rather than Eagle Lakes. You can get right to the hard stuff on the trail, and if you're trailering, you can go in and out the same way. Now, as a result, there's been a lot of use and abuse in this area too. If you look behind me, everything used to be covered in vegetation and in soil, and now it's bare rock. This has become a bit of a playground, unfortunately, as people come up here who don't necessarily have tread lightly principles and just drive wherever they want. So I love this area. I want to see it stay open. I'm happy to share it with you, but I just want it to look the same next time as it does when I come this time. So now we're at Winch Hill 3, the crux of the trail, the hardest spot. There's a hard line to the left, a harder line in the middle, and the ludicrous line on the right that's like buggy rear steer only type of thing. As you can tell by my shirt, it's been raining, and we got a good start this morning and I jinxed us. I said, we're making great time through the trail. Since then, it's been stop and go traffic and we're fighting for every inch of forward progress on these slick rocks. We're at the top of Winch Hill 4 now. We've been on the trail for over 10 hours, and I'll be honest with you, fatigue is setting in. It's easy to make mistakes and get frustrated at this point in the day, but we've still got a lot of technical wheeling to do. Now, if you're into the outdoors, but you're not as into rock crawling and this sort of thing, there are other runs at Sierra Trek that you can do. There's a UTV run that Cal 4 Wheel puts on. There is a historical run that Jim Bramman leads. This guy is a gem. I can't say enough about him. He knows the history of this area better than anyone I've ever seen, and it's a really interesting trip. So even if you have a stock SUV or truck, you can still come up and enjoy Sierra Trek. So we made it to the top of Winch Hill 5, and it did not come easy. I tried the hard line, figuring, you know, we're pretty much done at this point. You can go for broke, so to speak. Fortunately, I didn't break. Got through the trail with a broken taillight, a bent tie rod, and that was about it. They make you carry a spare tire when you come up for this event, but with these Meadow Trail grapplers, definitely didn't need it. Now, I've mentioned there's a lot of mining history in this area. Behind me is the Excelsior mine. So this mine ran from about 1865 to 1870 and actually was owned by the Hearst family, part of what made their fortune. You definitely don't want to drive in here at the end of a long day, which is what happened to someone in a Nissan Xterra a few years ago. Now they've put big rocks around it and there's signage so that hopefully that'll never happen again, because that makes for a bad day. We're done running Fordyce Trail, but we're not done with Sierra Trek. So waiting for us at Meadow Lake and at the remains of Summit City are a full bar, live music, a steak dinner, and personally, I can't wait for my favorite part, hot showers.